Hello, everyone, and welcome to our channel where we delve deep into the hidden depths of history. Today, we're exploring how groundbreaking archaeological finds can sometimes become ensnared in the webs of misinterpretation and incorrect dating.
That's right. And we're starting with a fascinating case from a Welsh housing estate where ancient slipways, initially mistaken for longhouses, raised quite a few eyebrows. Why, one might ask, would such elaborate structures be necessary for simple, lightweight dugout canoes?
This oversight doesn't just puzzle us, it distorts our understanding of the past, suggesting that these sites may have a deeper unexplored layers of history, possibly concealing more than we currently comprehend.
And that brings us to the importance of maintaining a critical perspective in archaeology. It's crucial to constantly question and re-evaluate our findings with fresh information and methodologies. After all, history isn't just about discovering artifacts, it's about interpreting them correctly and openly, and, crucially, acknowledging when our initial theories might need a revision.
Speaking of historical interpretations, let us talk about a site famously dubbed the oldest boatyard in the world, which is found right here in Wales. This site is believed to be the world's first prehistoric boat building site dating back nearly 4,000 years.
The discovery stopped construction for 6 months as archaeologists unearthed what seemed to be channels shaped like the bottom of wooden canoes. This was initially interpreted as evidence that boats were indeed built on this site.
But here where it gets a bit tricky. The dating of this boatyard is a bit of a paradox. The original theory, when they first discovered it, it was actually a longhouse. And the conclusion of the longhouse is because they found meter wide long ditches and they expected it to be full of wood, a very large wooden pole, no doubt. But then they realized there wasn't one, there was three, all parallel with each other. So it couldn't really be a longhouse. And then they realized it was a slipway for a boat. Now, if that doesn't make it complicated, they then tried to date this slipway, and they concluded, because obviously the slipway has to go into water, and this was found on solid ground, that once upon a time there was an ice glacier lake, and they deduced that from looking at an Ordnance Survey map. However, like their first assumption, this scenario is fundamentally flawed.
Neither LiDAR maps, which show the landscape in detailed relief, nor BGS maps, which display the area's superficial gravel, supported the existence of a lake. Instead, these resources confirm it was a river that the slipway linked into.
Now, this suggests that the rivers of the past were more extensive than today's rivers, which have been advocating for about a decade. This indicates that the slipway was much older than the original carbon dates. Now, the original carbon dates came from a half that was actually in one of the slipways. Now, it doesn't take a genius to work out that it can't be contemporary because they're trying to build a boat. It's either going to catch the boat alight or they're going to have to launch the boat over the half. Logic then dictates that the half came a lot later, after the use of the slipway. Therefore, the original Bronze Age date was incorrect. Moreover, what it did mean is that the slipway must have been in use in the Mesolithic. So we're talking 8 to 10,000 years ago, which I find quite astonishing because of the design of the boat, which is a catamaran, which is there to take weight, not for speed. And at the time, 8,000 years ago in Wales, we had the journey of the bluestones to Stonehenge.
This discovery should reshape our understanding of prehistoric engineering and seafaring. The site was not just making boats but catamarans, a significant engineering feat not recognized in the Western world until the 16th century.
These historical inaccuracies and the rush to conclusions underline the necessity for a more thorough, unbiased research. It's about accurately preserving and understanding our history, not just unearthing it and trying to grab headlines for the local paper.
And this scenario emphasizes the ongoing struggle within archaeology to balance between development, conservation, and the accurate interpretation of our past.
It shows us our true history might be lying underneath, waiting to be correctly interpreted and understood. We must approach archaeological findings with an open-minded curiosity and vigour, ensuring that our interpretations do justice to the actual significance of these discoveries.
And let's not forget the broader implications. This fixation on creating a narrative of linear progression, attempting to date artifacts by technology, often leads to critical missteps. Like with the oldest boatyard in the world, having a slipway for a catamaran which, according to linear theories, should not have existed for another 6,000 years.
This is evident where the same site, some 3 years later, found a piece of wood, which showed that the halves which they initially dated were incorrect, as a piece of wood from the site was dated from the Neolithic. This highlights that our understanding of history should be recognized and that evolutionary runs are less linear paths, but more like sine waves with peaks and troughs of invention and civilization.
Analogies can be drawn with other inventions, like housing throughout history. The idea that we first lived in caves and then in round mud huts is highly questionable, given the insufficient evidence and potential misidentifications.
Exactly right, Alice. Star Carr shows us that woodworking skills to plank wood, which is a very complex, massive task with stone tools. And the use of mortise and tenon joints, as we see in Stonehenge Phase 2, is thousands of years old. So why would skilled workmen choose to live in a mud hut with a solid floor and a thatched roof that will cover you with smoke, rather than using their skills to create wooden houses for greater comfort? The question which I would like to pose is, where was these wooden houses? Were they on stilts and we see those in post holes, or were they on boats? And so they had houseboats away from the nasty creatures that once roamed our forests.
This begs a re-evaluation of how we interpret such findings, suggesting that our ancestors might have been more technologically advanced and lived differently than traditionally portrayed.
Thank you for joining us in this exploration of archaeological missteps and the complexities of historical interpretation.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment with your thoughts or any topics you'd like us to cover next. See you in the next video.
Until next time, keep on questioning and exploring the past. The truth is out there, my friends.